Today Dong Fu invites you to listen to the Dhammapada, one of the Dharma of Buddha Shakyamuni. The 50th verse from the Buddhist scriptures on the YouTube channel TIong in the USA. Let none find fault with others. Let none see the omissions and commissions of others, but let one see one's own acts, done and undone. This verse is like a mirror the Buddha holds before us. In that mirror we are not shown the faces of others, not shown their mistakes, not shown their faults. We are shown only ourselves, our own mind, our own actions, our own path. But the Buddha teaches that such seeing leads to suffering, because when we keep looking outward for flaws, we forget the one place we can truly make a change, our own heart. The Buddha is not telling us to ignore harm. He is teaching us not to make the searching out of faults our habit. The habit of fault-finding is like a thorn in the mind. To live according to this verse is to turn the light inward, to look at our own actions first. When we see harm we have caused, we admit it honestly. When we see good we have left undone, we resolve to do it. In this way our energy goes to building the path, not to tearing others down. In nature there is a lesson here. A gardener who spends all his time pointing out weeds in the neighbor's garden will have no time to tend his own, and soon his own garden will be full of weeds. But if he focuses on removing the weeds in his own soil, planting good seeds, watering them, his garden will flourish, and his example will inspire others to tend their own gardens too. This is the way of the Dharma. The sage does not go about criticizing others for the dust in their eyes. The sage quietly washes his own face. And when people see the clarity in his eyes, they may wish to clean their own. When we watch our own actions closely, we begin to notice that much of what disturbs us in others also exists in some form within ourselves. Seeing this, we soften. We become less quick to judge, more ready to understand. The Buddha's verse invites us to a deep honesty. This honesty is not harsh self-criticism. It is gentle yet clear. Like looking into a still pond, we see our reflection without distortion. If there is something to change, we change it. If there is something to nurture, we nurture it. It is important to see that the verse speaks of done and undone. This means we look not only at what we have done, but also at what we have failed to do. Sometimes the harm in life comes not from our actions, but from our inactions. Not speaking a kind word when it was needed. Not helping when we had the chance. Not practicing when the opportunity arose. To walk this path, we cultivate mindfulness. At the end of each day, we can sit quietly and review. What did I do today that brought benefit? What did I do today that caused harm? What good could I have done but did not? In this way, we use the day's events as our teacher. The practice is not to blame ourselves endlessly. It is to learn, to grow. Each mistake becomes compost for wisdom. Each missed opportunity becomes a reminder to be more attentive next time. When we stop spending our time pointing out the faults of others, we free our mind from the constant cycle of comparison. We discover that the energy once used for criticism can now be used for compassion, for creativity, for helping. The verse also protects our relationships. In a family, in a community, nothing creates tension faster than the habit of fault-finding. But when we follow the Buddha's words, When we turn our gaze inward first, conflicts soften. We speak less to blame and more to understand. When we hear the Buddha's words, "Let none find fault with others. Let none see the omissions and commissions of others," we may wonder, does this mean I should never notice when someone is wrong? Should I close my eyes to harm? The teaching is more subtle. The Buddha is not asking us to become blind. He is asking us to become wise. There is a difference between noticing and fault-finding. Noticing is simply awareness. It is seeing things as they are. Fault-finding is adding judgment, adding blame, adding the idea that this person is less, that we are more. If we truly live in the spirit of this verse, we may see the wrong action of another. And from that recognition comes humility, compassion, in the Mahayana path. This humility is essential. A bodhisattva does not stand above beings pointing at their faults. A bodhisattva walks among beings, understanding their struggles because they have faced the same struggles within. In this way, correction, when it is needed, is given like medicine, not like punishment. Think of the difference between a doctor and a judge. The judge's role is to declare guilt. The doctor's role is to heal. The Buddha's way is like the doctor's way. That is why the verse says, "Let one see one's own acts, done and undone. If my own practice is weak, my words will lack the power to inspire others. If I have not removed the thorn from my own foot," not accusations that close the heart. In the home, when we see a family member forget something, we can remind them gently. Without sharpness, we can recall that we too forget. For often our habit of fault-finding happens silently. We may not speak it aloud, but inside we are busy measuring others, comparing, judging. Every time this happens, we can bring the mind back. There is no time to keep watching others' paths. We see clearly where our actions are wholesome and where they are not. We see which wholesome seeds we have watered and which we have neglected. In Mahayana Buddhism, this is part of the perfection of diligence. A diligent practitioner does not waste effort in endless comparison. They put their energy into their own cultivation. This is the fragrance of non-judgment. It is like the scent of a flower that does not need to announce itself. People simply feel at ease in its presence. When we stop fault-finding, our presence becomes lighter, our words become softer, and the Dharma flows naturally from our way of being. In community life, the Buddha's teaching shines even more clearly. Communities are like gardens. Many different flowers grow together, each with its own color, shape, and fragrance. If we spend our time pointing out which flower is crooked, which leaf is torn, which color is too pale, the garden will lose its harmony. The verse, "Let none find fault with others," is a protection for community harmony. When each person turns their attention inward, when each person takes responsibility for their own acts, done and undone, conflicts lessen, misunderstandings fade more quickly, and the energy that would have been spent in criticism is instead used to water the seeds of joy. But in reality, life together is not always smooth, even with the best intentions. Am I reacting from anger? From pride? From attachment to being right? If we can see our own mind clearly in those moments, we are already practicing the Buddha's words. Many people come together with the shared goal of practicing the Dharma, but each person comes with different habits, different levels of understanding. If we constantly point out the faults of others, the temple will become a place of tension. But if each person practices self-reflection, the temple will become a place of peace. But if the mind turns inward, watching the rise of irritation, understanding it, letting it go, then the sound of the cough becomes just sound. The movement becomes just movement. The mind remains undisturbed. The same is true in daily community tasks. Whether sweeping the floor, cooking, or chanting, if we notice someone doing something differently than we would, we can pause, ask ourselves, is this difference truly harmful, or is it simply another way? And if it is harmful, can I address it gently, without blaming? Can I offer help rather than criticism? This attitude is what keeps a community warm and united. It is what allows each member to grow without fear of being judged harshly. And it is what allows the Dharma to flourish in that space. The Buddha's words also guide us in the wider society. Today it is very easy to fall into the habit of public fault-finding. News and social media are full of criticism, opinions, accusations. If we are not mindful, we can spend hours looking at the faults of others far away, people we have never met, and all the while our own practice is left undone, which will bring more peace to the world, me pointing at another's fault, or me embodying kindness more fully. The answer is clear. In the Bodhisattva path, there is a vow to work for the benefit of all beings. But this work begins inside, by transforming our own mind. If we are free from the habit of fault-finding, our speech will naturally be more harmonious. Our actions will naturally cause less harm, and this will ripple outward, influencing others more powerfully than any criticism could. When we practice this verse deeply, we also protect our own happiness, because fault-finding is a constant source of mental agitation. It keeps the mind restless, dissatisfied, always searching for what is wrong. But when we turn that energy inward for self-reflection, we discover a kind of peace that does not depend on others being perfect. This is a peace the world needs greatly. A peace that comes from the humility to say, I too have much to work on. Let me begin there. Patience is a deep fruit of this verse. When we stop looking constantly at the faults of others, our mind becomes calmer. We no longer rush to correct. We no longer rush to judge. This gives space for patience to grow. Patience does not mean we agree with everything others do. It means we give them room to learn, to change, to reveal their true goodness over time. Just as a seed needs time to grow into a tree, people need time to unfold their better nature. If we keep pointing at their faults, it is like digging up the seed every day to check if it is growing. We see that the harmful habits we have abandoned did not disappear in a single day. Some of them took years of practice, many mistakes, and countless returns to the path. When we choose to look at our own acts instead of searching for the wrongs of others, our heart is less entangled in resentment. We see more clearly the struggles others face. We wish for them to be free of suffering, rather than wishing to be proven right. Our words and actions become softer, warmer, more healing. forgiveness naturally follows. Many times, what keeps us from forgiving is the habit of reviewing the faults of others again and again in our mind. Each time we recall the wrong, our anger is refreshed. The Buddha's verse gives us another way. Instead of replaying their faults, we look at our own mind. We ask, what can I release? What resentment can I let go of? What kindness can I strengthen? By focusing on our own actions, what we have done and what we have left undone, we find the key to that release. This practice also allows us to preserve relationships that might otherwise be broken. No matter what others do, our practice is to guard and guide our own mind. This is the freedom the Buddha offers. Freedom from being pulled into the endless whirlpool of judging others. It is also a path of joy, because when we are not constantly finding fault, we have more space to appreciate what is good. We notice acts of kindness, moments of beauty, signs of growth in ourselves and others. Gratitude replaces criticism. Appreciation replaces blame. And slowly, without forcing, the world around us changes. Our example speaks more strongly than our criticism ever could. People may see our peace and wonder where it comes from. They may see our patience and be inspired to practice it themselves. This is the quiet power of the Buddha's teaching. By working on ourselves, we become a mirror in which others can see their own potential for goodness. We do not need to point at their faults. By tending our own soil, by watching our own acts done and undone, we add to the beauty of the whole garden. And in time, others may be moved to do the same. Thank you for watching my video. Namo Amitabha. I wish to bring this merit towards all disciples and sentient beings, all of whom will attain Buddhahood. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate your time.